It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job. We are your podcast for relevant and relatable conversations with contractors, hopefully bringing a little bit of entertainment to you as well. My name's Mike. That's Brian.
Hello.
Today is episode 61. And with us today, we have Priscilla Chavez, Manager of Business Development at PCL. Is that right? Did I get
correct.
It?
Yep.
So can you tell our listeners, what does PCL stand for?
Well, it doesn't stand for much now. We've that transitioned when we became employee owned.
Okay.
Before it stood for Pool Construction Limited, and so now it's just PCL.
Now it's just PCL.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been employee owned?
It's been a couple of decades now.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit of time then.
A little bit.
Yeah.
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 That's fun.
Yeah.
Very
it is.
cool.
112-year-old company. So
That's it?
Wow.
Yeah, I have a small track record. Very small.
No big
Just
deal.
a few references we could call on, right?
I feel like usually it's like 3, 4 years, 10 years, like 112. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Might be 113 now.
What was even going on 112 years ago? Was that 1907?
8, 7, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So all in LA? Does it start in LA?
No, we're Canadian.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so we're Canadian
I did
company.
see you had like 4 major areas, I think regional locations on your website.
Yeah, so we're all over Canada, top general contractor in Canada, and have various locations in the U.S. So we're pretty much spread out from coast to coast.
We have some listeners in Canada. We've had a few other guests that are from Canada. So
Maybe some PCLers in Canada
there
will
you go.
listen.
I'm down. So give us a little history, how you got started in this industry. Always fascinating to see a female in this industry at any level or any position. I think it's awesome and great, but kind of how you got started and the road to kind of where you are now with PCL.
Awesome. Well, I will start off by saying that it was a non-traditional path.
They usually aren't.
That sounds about right.
Wait. It starts off with Craigslist.
Okay.
Whoa.
So was working for a legal nonprofit and came across an opportunity through Craigslist to work for a small woman-owned consultancy. Went and interviewed. This was back in 2007. And, we just hit it off. Opportunity was provided. Learned there that her service really was towards public agencies and municipalities. And the consulting that she was doing was related to outreach, related to small business and diverse business inclusion, really equipping small and diverse businesses and learning how to do public works contracting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because there's so much opportunity in a lot of those grants and a lot of those other things that
Absolutely.
have to be done that way, yeah.
Right. So Los Angeles in particular has lots of incentives,
Right.
making
Yep.
sure general contractors like a PCL, are providing equitable opportunities for small and diverse businesses. And so part of our role was not just to, kind of push on our legislators to put that demand so there's more opportunity, but really building up the supply. Because what good is to have the demand when you
Right.
don't have the supply?
Exactly.
Right.
So came across and got to meet lots of wonderful businesses, minority, women-owned small businesses, and really just became enamored with just construction. I was like, this is so cool. I had no idea this world existed. Really hadn't paused, not to just smell what the roses smelled like, but really just like, how did this built environment happen?
Right.
Who built it?
A lot more involved than just putting the Legos together, right?
100%,
Yeah.
right? And to really think about, man, like there's a business behind this and men and women are actually doing the labor for this. So just totally became intrigued. Spent about 9 years there towards the latter part of my career with this consultancy. Started to do some consulting work outside of municipalities and public agencies. So consulted with some of our fellow frenemies, some of our
Your competitors now, yeah.
Some of our competitors, still frenemies. We
So
can
you
kick it.
got some inside info on them, huh? From being a consultant? Yeah.
Well, consulted to a couple of the top general contractors, and really just being an extension of their outreach efforts, not just on the public side, but also with private entities, right? So now you have Fortune 100 companies now actually asking, what are you going to do for small and diverse businesses through our contracts?
Yeah, seeing a lot more of it in the private space now.
Definitely.
Yeah, outside of just government and municipality work. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot more flexibility. I think it's there's less restrictions, I think, on private dollars from development, from a developer standpoint, but also just private entities. So started doing consulting, did some work here, Orange County, Los Angeles, and finally was told about an opportunity with PCL. And I remember when the opportunity was presented to me, I was like, why would I want that? I'm consulting to you. Like I was consulting to this general contractor, and I said, I'm trying to do more business with you, like as an entrepreneur and as a consultant. And she just said, I really think you should check out this opportunity. And as a mentor, I said, just kind of breathed in, and I said, would you do it? And she said, I would. So, rest's history. Went to go.
Had you worked with PCL at all from the consulting side?
No, and funny enough, hope there are no executives watching this, but where my heart was at, doing all that kind of advocacy work was really about small and diverse businesses. And so at the time, I was so dedicated to working for a business that was going to be socially responsible, that had a diverse business program.
And now you're going to this giant monster.
It was not on my vision board to go create something. Nor did I think, I hadn't paused to think about what that would actually look like.
Right.
And so when I interviewed with, who's now one of our regional vice presidents, I sat across, the table from him, looked like this. And, I just told him, I'm going to put the cards on the table, and, I'm not going to be a foot soldier. So, this has to be for real. And if it's not, then I'm not the right person. Yeah. What was I thinking?
I'm good where I'm at.
What was I thinking?
Confidence goes a long way.
Yeah.
And it was just really awesome because he just affirmed, I remember still, to this day, he said, not even, sky's the limit. Whatever you want to build here, we're going to support you. This is important to us. We're dedicated. We're committed to it. So let's do it. And so, man, I left that interview thinking oh my gosh, my vision board just got totally screwed. I'm over here thinking I'm going to be, the successor to this business, this consultancy, and have been getting groomed to do that. And now it's like this top general contractor wants me to come and build this program. So at that time, went out to my network and just kind of said, what would you do? And it was just really awesome, I think, to hear from both general contractors that I was consulting to at the time and peers that have kind of seen me develop in my professional career and just said, this is the right move. It's the right time. It's good.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
And how long ago was that you started with them?
I started at PCL, funny story, Martin Luther King Day, 2016. A diversity and inclusion manager starting on Martin Luther King Day, because at that time it was still not a holiday for us.
I was going to say, you didn't even get the day off, huh?
We did not get the day off, and I was.
I think that's when we started taking the day off here.
I was going to say that's probably right around then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the day off now as a part of
the
inclusion?
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. I will.
Was that something that you pushed for?
No, actually, I was going to say PCL did that all on their own. I did not push for it. Yeah. No, so it's been great.
So you said you were kind of hired to build a program there, or kind of start something. What was the outline there? What was the vision there when you started?
I still remember my first day walking into our district manager's office. I'm like, okay, I'm here reporting for duty. What do you want me to do?
What do I do?
And he was like, great. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I think at that time, all we knew was I think all PCL knew was supplier diversity, supply chain is what's really important. Who are our subcontractors? How are we helping them build capacity? Mm-hmm. And so, so he was able to direct me to some internal departments to kind of figure out what have we done, where are we at. And that very quickly evolved into other things, including workforce development. So if we're going to go build in a community, how are we impacting the residents that live there?
Yeah.
How are we creating career pathways, especially as people talk about the worker shortage, or others talk about, there's still underrepresented groups in the skilled trades. What are we doing as a general contractor, as a lover of construction, and as a steward of opportunities? How are we
in those communities that you're
impacting
working,
the next generation, right?
Yeah.
And so that really became the basis of the program. So focusing on supplier diversity, so all the BEs, all the minority business enterprises, women, disabled veterans, small local businesses. So how are we including them into our supply chain? And then workforce development. How are we developing workforce on our projects?
Yeah. So was it a situation where when you guys are putting out like your bids and whatnot, or your requests for bids, are you putting in there like, hey, we're looking for this and kind of waiting for them to come to you? Or was it a situation where you were actually going out specifically identifying these people and saying, hey, we want to work, or want businesses like you to work with us. How can we help you? Is that?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of both because of my prior experience before coming to PCL.
I'm sure you probably had a lot of them on the list, right?
Spending 10 years, right? But at that time, as I mentioned before, I think I was really focused on, if I ever do branch out to go work for a general contractor, there was contractors I had in mind that I thought were socially responsible and would do the right thing, right? Quote unquote. And coming to PCL, part of the effort that needed to take place was really to introduce PCL to the small and diverse business community. We've been building in Los Angeles for 30 plus years, but how attractive are we? In comparison to our competitors.
What are we doing to help them out? Yeah.
Exactly. Especially if our competitors, some have had programs for decades,
right.
At that point, building small and diverse businesses. And so it was really a great opportunity and really planets aligned because I was able to just take off my consultancy, hard hat, put on PCL. I'm still the same person, but now representing a different company and actually a company that has contracting power. Right. Yeah. And so it was a little bit of doing outreach, what I call on and off season. So we're reaching out to small and diverse businesses, not, as a reaction to a contract or a project, but more so because we want to build that pipeline beforehand. Right. So businesses are ready versus actually having to get ready.
Right.
So there was some of that and also some headhunting. So especially for specific opportunities, really looking at where's the gap in our supply chain? Where's the gap in our bidders pool?
Like which type
trades,
of business
exactly? Yeah. What type of businesses are not represented here? And really being able to go out and find them. I recall meeting this was like unicorn, a glazer, so a glazing company, local, so within LA County, union, and disabled veteran.
Wow.
I know. So I remember meeting this company at a City of Los Angeles event, and I'm like, dude, here's my card, freaking pre-qualified. I have contracts right now.
Ready to go.
I think we were working here locally at Cal State Fullerton. And Cal State Fullerton has, some incentives for small businesses and diverse disabled veterans. And I'm like, get this in, like now type thing. And actually, the business has been doing work with us since then, and they work with us not just when there's requirements. They worked with us at Dominguez Hills. They worked with us at Fullerton. They were able to get that opportunity, and they've grown capacity with us.
That's awesome. Yeah. Giroux Glass comes to mind because I think they're women owned, right? Didn't you say?
Yeah, Natalie.
Yeah. I think they're now an ESOP, so they're not employee owned. Yeah. But we do a ton of work with Giroux Glass. Yeah,
well, she was our second.
Episode.
Guest, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Nataline's great. They've been a great partner for PCL.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was, you mentioned reaching out a few years ago. When you were having to reach out and start the process, was there an uphill battle that you had to face with some of these small and diverse businesses? Did they feel kind of scarred by PCL at all? Or maybe with GCs in general, and you had to kind of do some cleanup work there? Or how was that response?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think for me, my observation was, even coming from the consultancy side, was that there definitely are scars with small diverse businesses. I think that general contractors haven't always done the best we could to be transparent with messaging. And I think it's just we don't do better because we don't know better. And so I think that sometimes, from even having an outreach event, you present these opportunities perhaps because the public agency or the contracting entity wants you to do that. But realistically, the project is way large. So these small diverse businesses getting an opportunity as a direct sub is almost unlikely.
Right.
And so I think for me, it was really important to be transparent. And for those that have known me in my career know that like I'm super raw with telling you like the real deal.
Right.
Because I want to make sure that if we're going to start a relationship, that started from a point of integrity and transparency.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you there's going to be an opportunity when I know you're too small, the project is too large, there are other hurdles that need to be, really overcome. So there had to be a little bit of cleanup work. I think really establishing PCL as not a reputable contractor, because we are that. ENR said so. But really a reputable and a trusted contractor for small diverse businesses.
Yeah, it's got to be intimidating for some of them to even think about, putting in a bid if you guys are putting out, a project or a contract. I mean, so I would imagine part of that process is kind of opening those doors and welcoming those people and making that process a little bit easier for them.
Absolutely. We did a lot of that. On and off season, we hold how to do business with PCL, really walking folks through, like, what does that application look like? What are we going to be looking at? Letting them know that, hey, an application's not going to tell me your full story.
Right.
So what else should we know about you?
Right.
What are the things that are going to be critical as our internal, process happens that, in evaluating your company? Because what you write in paper is not going to tell me that, sure, the company's 2 years old, but you have 20 years working for a competitor.
Right. Right.
And so those are the things that that might not come through on paper. And so going through that, I think that process really helped us do a couple of things. It helped us refine our process. Are there unnecessary hurdles that we've added? So additional red tape, right? So let's really kind of self-reflect on what can we do better?
Right.
How can we equip businesses? Because if we talk about loyalty, companies are going to be loyal when companies, general contractors and partners are there and are helping them through not just at my best, but when I haven't been at my best and you walked me through that process.
Right. Yep.
And then also just making it easier overall. So what we started to notice was an influx of businesses now starting to do our application, building rapport with project managers and estimators, and of course being able to talk about actual successes, right? Either as direct subs or even sub tiers.
Right.
Looking back at some of those subs that you guys are working with, or kind of, not to dumb it down, but holding their hand through that process, what are some of the the objections or the hurdles that these guys have to get over, the most common ones, where it's kind of like, hey, we need to help you out with this? What are trying to work with you guys? Is there something specific that most people need to address before trying to work with you guys?
I think from my experience, both at PCL and prior, believe it or not, sometimes it's just needing a word of encouragement and motivation, saying like, hey, I think you can actually be a contractor to this general contractor. So oftentimes I'm like, whatever you need, like, what can we help with, right? And really creating a safe space. And I know it sounds weird because we're in construction, but creating a safe space where we can talk about what those opportunities, those gaps, vulnerabilities, for to use a different word, might be, and why you might not want to complete your application. Maybe there's financial issues, maybe there's staffing issues, but it's okay, right? Because if we're going to build a relationship, because our core values align, our markets align, et cetera, those things are important to talk about. I think so from a morale standpoint, I think just having someone that just says, hey, I think you can do this, has been, for me, in my experience, really important. I think there's sometimes ambiguity with the process, and so we've broken the process down in a way that is bite-sized, so they understand not just the big picture, but just the impact of all the deliverables within the application. And then being able to really align them with opportunities, right? Because, okay, great, I'm going to do this process, but where's that going to lead?
Yeah, what kind of work?
And if I have to spend, if the application, let's just say, takes me a full day's work, I could be doing a roofing project for my neighbor, which gives me immediate gratification. Right. So how do I choose between, kind of like short-term outcomes versus long-term outcomes, right? And so I think there's been some of that as well. For the most part, I think, I always commend small and diverse businesses because they're just so extremely agile. And I think they just naturally, I think, just want to achieve and succeed. And so we haven't seen a lot of issues with those things in place, them actually completing the application.
Right.
So you guys are getting pretty good, I guess, for lack of a better term, loyalty from a lot of those companies continuing to do work for you guys.
Right. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said that, well, that's kind of where you started, right? That diversity and inclusion portion, but we introduced you as business development manager. So where did that transition take place and how and how's that going?
Yeah. About 2 years ago, having a conversation with one of my executives, just kind of said, I'm curious and exploring another department. Where else can I add value? I think my opinion is that diversity and inclusion, at this point at PCL is just in the fabric of how we do business. And so I don't have to have the title of diversity and inclusion to be an ambassador and advocate for.
And we should all
Because you are.
Exactly.
Your
Exactly.
essence, yeah.
And so part of that process was, what else can I be doing, for this organization? And so we started exploring business development. Super lucky to have amazing leadership at PCL. Our director of business development is a female and a friggin' amazing, a rock star. And so started a mentorship session, really a mentorship relationship with her, an intentional one geared towards, how do I transition into business development? And so the promotion took place last year, and it's been really awesome. I think it's been really great to see the experience of the work that we've done in diversity and inclusion with specific markets. So we've been able to have really amazing conversation in the affordable housing space, which absolutely impacts, community wellness and total health, right? If, community residents are not have a place to live, if they're concerned about or stressed about, making their mortgage payment or even a rent payment, that's going to impact the possibilities of not just their total wellness, but their families, and their kids.
Right.
If kids now have to worry because they see their parents worry,
right.
I can't go pursue a university, or perhaps a blue collar opportunity because I now have to do something immediately to help home.
Help with the
it really does impact everything. And so we've been having great conversations there in K through 12. Again, the education that we're providing, our children, and K through 14 with community colleges, it's been really great to really bring the value of what we've done in the diversity and inclusion space and bring it really to clients that we're exploring opportunities with.
So are you, in business development, are you that diversity and inclusion kind of ambassador in all aspects, or is there a certain vertical where you are focusing your work as far as developing, I guess, like I said, different verticals? I mean, I know you mentioned K-12 and some affordable housing, but is there something specific that you're focusing on, or is it just kind of a little bit of everything?
It's a little bit of everything, but for the most part, looking at affordable housing, public works, just because of my experience there, K through 12, community college work. We do other work, other markets, aviation, higher education, sports and entertainment. So the focus is business development. We've hired a couple of folks in the last year to help us lead diversity and inclusion, and so that's no longer something I'm spearheading, and of course still supporting. And I think you mentioned earlier, it really becomes part of just really part of my pitch of why PCL is a great contractor and why we would be a great partner for that client, right? Is because we're not just going to be socially responsible. I mean, we have a track record of impacting communities where we build.
Well, it's now within the fabric of the company.
100%.
Yeah.
So is there something specific you guys point to, or that you use to kind of quantify that when you're talking with somebody?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So we do track internally, just what our small diverse business spend is. So we do track that, not just at a first year level, but we're actually able to track full supply chain for the most part. Wow. So we're able to see, if we're going to do business with the Giroux Glass, who are the suppliers and subs that Giroux might be bringing under them. So we're able to kind of follow the money. And for workforce, we use a third-party software where we're able to track workforce management. So we can tell, wages we've paid to local community residents. We can talk about how many new apprentices we've actually indentured into our projects, which is I think probably the part of our diversity and inclusion program we're most proud of is really creating opportunities for those that are underrepresented in the skilled trades. So whether it's veterans, women, formerly incarcerated, we have Asian Americans, Black Americans. I mean, there's groups that are still underrepresented in the trades. And the number I'm very proud of that we've done in the last 3 years is we've created over 175 new careers on PCL projects.
That's cool.
So that means
really
that
cool.
a person walked into a project site as their first project in their skilled trades career. And so it's pretty amazing. So, and we have the data, we have the names, we have the social security numbers. These people are real. These people are real. And more than that, it's the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
We've been able to capture some of these individuals on film, and I mean, you just hear their story and you hear what a yes did for their lives, their communities, and their families. And so when we're having those conversations with the client, I mean, if you think about it, what client doesn't want that?
Right.
You're going to build a school, but I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But can we get some of those stories in our project?
Right, exactly.
Right? So it's been pretty awesome.
That's awesome. So kind of speak to that a little bit if you can. I don't know how much work you specifically do with it, or if it's something you guys at PCL are a part of, but that the whole notion of, the lack of trade schools and the lack of, I guess the sexiness of going into the trades, coming especially out of high school, if maybe a 4-year college isn't your path, and I feel like a lot of kids are kind of forced that way. Is there something you guys are doing or anything you guys do to kind of stay involved and stay kind of in front of a lot of that situation socially?
Yeah, definitely. So a couple of things come to mind. The Building Trades Council has been an amazing partner to PCL. And so we, it's the Building Trades Council who equips programs to actually teach the multi-core craft curriculum, which is called MC3. So basically, think about it as like Construction 101.
Right.
So there are programs throughout Los Angeles and Orange County that are actually teaching folks what construction is, tied in with some hands-on training as well as some life skills. So we do partner up with those programs, and those individuals for us really are a lot more attractive because they've at least gone through an 8 to 12 week
when they show the interest, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the program itself vets them out. But even before that, I think one of the things we noticed right before actually I transitioned to business development is that, through proposals and narratives that we provide to clients when we're pursuing projects, we know where the gaps are, and we know the groups of underrepresented individuals in the skilled trades. And one of the things that I really just challenge the team with is like, everybody knows who these folks are, but what are we doing
to go get them?
What are we doing about it?
Yeah.
And so if I'm, and the building trades have done a really great job to open up doors and establish these programs in communities where residents are represented through those underrepresented groups in the skilled trades. And yet I felt like there was an opportunity for us as a general contractor to really plug in even before that. So what we started doing was, is called a career and construction workshop. This is not a job fair. This is not a career fair. This is us aligning ourselves to elected officials and saying, let's equip constituents in your district so they can learn what construction is and what it isn't. Because the important piece is not, I don't want everybody to go into construction, right? Because we're going to have an overflow.
Some people don't belong.
But there is power in establishing a space where people can be equipped with the information to be able to make a decision of a yes or a no. And if we're not creating that space, then I could see why frustration would happen, not just from a subcontractor standpoint of you don't give me opportunities, but even from a resident standpoint. Why can't I work on a project that's being built in my own backyard? And I may not want to build it, but no one's ever reached out to me to ask me if I want to. Right. And so I think being able to take a step back and really see how, to me, that continues to be a gap. We've actually started those workshops well in advance before the cohorts even start, so that at least people can mobilize. So at least before going to this boot camp and hearing for the first time, what construction is and what it isn't, 8 to 4 weeks before that, they're actually understanding of like, oh, this is a project labor agreement. oh, these are all the components of construction. It's meant to be easily digested, and it's not meant to create confusion. It's really meant to spark curiosity.
Right.
And if people's, if curiosity is sparked, then we're able to really connect them with those community partners who are teaching the MC3 curriculum. And they're now, to me, they're better positioned to actually get a shot at participating as a student, because they're like, no, I already know. It's between drywall and wood framing for me. Because they've already, PCL told me so, right? And so we've had actually really cool success stories of us doing that outreach, targeting
following
communities.
Somebody all the way through.
And actually
awesome.
seeing them until they get into the union. And so it's been really awesome, because it's really not the delivery method, private public partnership, but really it's private companies connecting with our elected officials, public entities, and saying, let's connect and let's actually follow people. And again, the intent is not to get everyone to say, I want to career in construction, but it's to equip them so they feel empowered.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that they feel they have power in deciding. If an opportunity comes in where we get to build in that community, what I hope is that they would think we're a trusted builder.
Right.
They would think like, PCL's, even before they had a project here, they were already in the community. Right. And that has so many positive impacts while we're there.
Yeah, from a reputational
and it's just being
standpoint.
a good neighbor, right?
That's awesome. How did, just from a logistical standpoint, how is that information getting out that you guys are doing that?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting recently due to government orders, at least in Los Angeles, and of course, dealing with the pandemic,
right?
And so we've been exploring different platforms so far. I think part of, in the spirit of transparency, I think one of the things that we've stopped doing are the workshops, and it's because the programs have also stopped. The MC3 curriculum workshops. And so
they got nowhere to go after that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not going to go
Don't
do
want to
this
frustrate
workshop.
them.
I'm not going to go do this career and construction workshop, and I have nowhere to forward you to, right? Because then I'm doing you a disservice. And really, trust now becomes questionable, right? And
building you up and handing you this and going, never mind, we don't have nothing for you.
Exactly. And so it only works because there's like an immediate next step. Exactly. And so what we're starting to see is that the programs have started back up. With smaller class sizes, but that creates an opportunity for us to really kind of start that back up.
Very cool.
Of those 175 that you had mentioned before that started their careers in the trades through PCL, or at least on a job site that PCL was on, were a lot of those coming through those workshops initially, or?
The workshops have been pretty new, so we've started that. It's been, I think, now 2 years. So I think there's been maybe 2 dozen that have gone, that have completed the full project or the full cycle, right? For the most part, the folks that have come through for the 175 are coming from an MC3 program.
Got it.
So we're partnering up with those partners that are providing that type of education, and then we're the folks that at the end of the program are saying, okay, we're going to hire you, and we're going to hire you, and it's so pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's been especially important, I think, in this season. I think in the last 4 months. On a $1 billion plus project at LAX, we've been able to create 30 plus careers.
Wow.
So if you can think about that, while everyone is getting laid off, while people are concerned and we have a, economic crisis, it gives me, just chills.
Well, it's just not just 30 people, right? It's the 30 people
families,
and the dependents that rely on them.
100%, right? And so to be able to give those folks a call and say, hey, get your stuff ready, Monday morning, 6 a.m.
Come to work.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And so it really does, I think, talk to just the opportunities I think that contractors can create intentionally in our communities.
Well, and I feel like at least what you've contributed to PCL, what's really neat to see is that we were kind of laughing before about it being kind of the big dog, right? The scary big company, and really you brought a human element. You've broken down that veil, that platform that everybody's been standing on, or at least perceived to be standing on, and we're all human people, right? And we want to help you. And there's some byproducts of that, right? You got projects coming in, revenue and all that, but but you have that human element, and that creates trust. And I think that's lacking, especially in today's culture, when we have these bite-sized, Instagram, social media. We just need to get things out, ingest it, and move on. And you're reintroducing, hey, we're people here, and families need to eat and need to work, especially in this crisis that we're in now. I think it's tremendous. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, no, it's been really great, and I think I give it up to leadership really for just, I think
Seeing
in the
that
last
vision.
4.5 years,
Yeah.
I've never, I thought at some point they're gonna pull the plug. They're gonna say,
We're done with
Especially
this.
the first day when they're like, I don't know what you're gonna
I
do.
know. Well, I thought something would come back like you're doing the most. Like, no, we're not ready for that yet. And it's just been really an amazing journey. And now with the folks we have there, with Kayla and Milix and Asia, I mean, it just continues. And so I think that we've been the path has been, it's so clear. It's like, well, there is such a thing as this being a win for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A win for the client, a win for the building trades, a win for our
Right.
subcontractors, a win for community,
Yep.
and a win for us.
Right.
And so, and it's been really great to connect those dots and see absolutely 100% how it impacts profitability.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? Where are you headed? Where's your path taking you in the next few years? Ideally.
Ideally, yeah. I think, continuing to really just learn. I'm excited about all the opportunities that I've been exposed to through business development. I think it's been revealing in terms of how we, just how our business operates,
Right.
Which has been really, really great. So more of that. I think for me, purpose is about impact, and it's about impact to my community. It's impact to people, and it's about, leaving a legacy. And so whatever it is, I mean, I think that's just part of, that'll have to be a part of it. And so I'm excited to continue on the path and get to learn more. And
Awesome.
CEO in the future?
I mean, hey, I'm not. It
not
might
gonna
not
say
be
no.
on the vision board, but we know that how that worked out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned, I think you mentioned before we started that you guys have done some pretty cool projects. I mean, just to kind of, can we name a few just to, because I know those are always fun to kind of hear some of those big things that you guys do.
Sure. Yeah. So we built a Staples Center. We just completed about $100 million renovations at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Wow.
That are now being enjoyed by the cutouts.
By nobody.
By the cutouts.
By the cutouts.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cardboard cutouts.
Still amazing. We built Wizarding World of Harry Potter, both in Orlando and here.
Wow.
And if you haven't been, I mean,
I've been to all those places you've mentioned. They're awesome. Yeah.
I haven't been to Universal.
I haven't
but
been to
hear,
Orlando. I've been to the one here.
But I hear
So,
that thing is like, you step in and you don't even realize where you are.
It
Dude, it's
feels like you're in the
unreal.
movie. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, there's been no other project that I've gone to and I'm like touching. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, men and women built this.
Yeah.
Like, we managed the construction of this. This is insane.
Yeah.
So built that. Have built lots of housing at UCLA and Dominguez Hills. We also, I think one of our most notable recent projects is the Bank of California Stadium, LAFC Stadium, right in downtown.
Yeah. Yep.
So we did build that.
That's a pretty stadium.
It is a gorgeous stadium. I mean, very high finishes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful stadium. So that was really awesome.
Very cool. Well, before we let you go, I know we're kind of running close on time. Can we want to give you an opportunity to kind of tell the people where to find you guys. I think what's important too is, and maybe we'll get this afterwards, but some of those, I don't know if you guys have links or contacts for those MC3 courses or the workshops that you guys do beforehand, because I think
Those that are listening might be interested in checking that out.
We definitely want to link a lot of that stuff when we post this for you guys. So
definitely. PCL.com, pretty easy. But as far as I'm concerned, PN Nancy Chavez at PCL.com. In case you want to reach out, happy to connect you with the right folks within our organization. As far as workshops and things like that, still kind of exploring what that's going to look like, just because of current conditions.
Yeah.
But again, very, very excited. Thank you so much for having me and giving me an opportunity to share my story, PCL's story.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you, guys.
Well, we'll keep in touch and stay safe out there. Hopefully. Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
Good luck. Hey, thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.